Day to Die Hard. Now the plot for A Good Day to Die Hard is how John McClane goes to Russia to help his estranged son get out of trouble. Now this is the 5th Die Hard installment and it's directed by John Moore and written by Skip Woods. Now their filmography or movie background is not really that good. For instance, they directed or they've been behind of The A-Team, Max Payne, and you all know those are not great movies. But I knew that going in. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm not anticipating a lot, but I'm not expecting a little bit either. But I had my fingers crossed, said maybe it could be good. Because yeah, directors can't have bad spots or bad movies that they come out with. But every once in a while they may have a gem. But this movie wasn't one of them. I mean, first off, John McClane, or Bruce Willis who played John McClane, it didn't feel like John McClane. For me, John McClane in this movie, now we all know in the Die Hard movie, John McClane is one of those type of guys who's sarcastic, tough-nosed type of guys. And this movie didn't feel like it. The way Bruce Willis played him, it felt like it was forced. I felt like the sarcasm was like, okay, just for punchlines, just to say it. I didn't feel it. It wasn't like a Die Hard movie. This is not a Die Hard movie. Just put it like that. I'm one of the biggest fans of Die Hard. And this movie is not a Die Hard. It just disgraced the Die Hard franchise. For me, A Good Day to Die Hard should be a good day to retire. Because you just killed the franchise. Now, personally for me, I don't mind when movies go to 3 and that's it. 4, you're on shaky grounds. 5th, not doing it for me. Unless you're doing like Fast 5, stuff like that. Those are kind of good movies that you can go off. But with this movie, it just proves why 5th movies or installments of movies after the 4th or 3rd one should not be made. John Moore did a horrible job with this movie. Now, in every Die Hard movie, you have an antagonist. You got John McClane versus Hans Gruber. John McClane versus the military guy in the 2nd one. John McClane versus Hans Gruber's brother in the 3rd movie. John McClane versus Timothy Olyphant in the 4th movie. This movie, I don't know what villain was in there. I don't know what bad guy was in there. I couldn't tell because you might as well had John McClane versus a bunch of Russian street thugs. That's it. And that you could call that the villains there because there's no main antagonist. The guy you see in the trailers, you think he's the main antagonist, but he's really not. Then they have a little twist. Think that person's the main antagonist? No. Then you have another twist. Think that's the main antagonist, but it's not. This movie had too many twists. I mean, usually when a movie has twists to it, it's kind of good, but this movie had too many twists. It wasn't even, oh my god, it's so freaking disgusting. It's like, you can't even, like, if you go back in history, like 10, 15 years from now, and you say, oh, who's the villain in Die Hard 5? You can just toss a quarter up and say, I don't know. You don't know, because you really can't tell who's which or what is the main villain in this movie. It's just so horrible. It had no sense of clear direction. And I blame the director and I blame the writer especially. Because if you write in a movie, you gotta have one main clear antagonist. Every Die Hard movie had it. In this movie, it didn't have it. This movie stars his son, Jack McClane, or John McClane Jr. I mean, for me, he was alright. And they tried to like work the relationship between father and son, between action scenes and stuff like that. It didn't work. I mean, it just felt like the inopportune time to talk about father and son moments, or like, you did this to me in the past, you did that to me in the past, while you're shooting up bad guys. Really? You're not gonna really do, why would you even talk about that when you're shooting up bad guys? Like, out of sight, okay, we're shooting up bad guys. But by the way, you know, when you were 5 years old, I took you to get a cup of ice cream. Really? You really gonna do that? And you fighting bad guys, shooting up the storm? Like, really? You really gonna do that? It's just bad place. They try to make it emotional when it's supposed to be an action movie. Now, yes, action movies are mindless fun, but Die Hard, most of the Die Hard movies have good, solid story to it. And this movie has no story. What story did it have to it? It didn't have it. Oh my goodness. I'm very animated and very emotional about this because I'm a big, huge Die Hard fan. I mean, John McClane for me is my favorite action hero of all time. And you just made him look like a shell of himself because all the sarcasticness, it just felt forced. In the Die Hard movie, he was sarcastic because of the situation he was in. In this movie, he was sarcastic because he just wanted to be sarcastic just for the hell of it. A Good Day to Die Hard is a failure to the Die Hard franchise. Now, if you want to do a Die Hard 6, I don't want to see it unless you're going to have a fan, a director who's a fan of the Die Hard franchise, who knows what the hell he's doing with an action movie, and to send it off right. Because if you can't leave, personally for me, sometimes I'm 50-50 because you can't leave Die Hard off like this with it being just so horrible and terrible. You have to send John McClane out on a good note, and this is not a good note to say, you know, this is the staple of the Die Hard franchise movies. It's not, trust me. And at the end, especially the end. My favorite catchphrase, you know, is yippee-ki-yay, but the way they put it, the most iconic line in this movie was the worst placement of an iconic line in movie history. I'm just saying, really. He just said it to say it, and it's in the wrong time at the wrong place. When he said yippee-ki-yay in the movie, barely anybody clapped for that because it just came at the wrong place at the wrong time. It was just the wrong place to put it. It's the worst placement of a catchphrase in movie history. And the CGI was so CGI heavy, it was not even funny. Now, I know you gotta get up with the times with technology, stuff like that, and Die Hard didn't have a lot of CGI in the first one, but really, you could have dialed it back a little bit. The CGI was just solely CGI heavy. Oh my goodness, really? Oh, I did not like this movie. I kind of like hated this movie. A Good Day to Die Hard made Die Hard 2 an action classic. And you know how much I didn't like Die Hard 2 that much. That's how bad A Good Day to Die Hard is. Simple as that. A Good Day to Die Hard failed in so many aspects. Fans of Die Hard would not love this movie, would actually hate it and destroy it once they get it on Blu-ray or whatever. I get it on Blu-ray just to say I got the Die Hard collection, but this movie is not my favorite Die Hard movie. It's the worst Die Hard I've seen since Die Hard 2. For me, A Good Day to Die Hard gets 2.5 out of 5 stars. And the only reason why it's getting that, is because of Bruce Willis playing John McClane. You know, I think he kind of nailed it in, but that's the only reason why I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5 stars. So, if you like this review, please rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'm sorry about, I know I'm supposed to put the rest of the Die Hard with a Vengeance and Live Free or Die Hard videos out, but a little computer mess up, so I'm going to try to put it out before this video if I can. But until next time, Movie Nation.